of His Excellency the Ambassador. Carlotta, puoi vedere chi è il ragazzo che fa la presentazione? Prego.
Hello, everybody. Yorgos Christofides was appointed as ambassador of the Republic of Cyprus to the Italian Republic in September 2021 and presented his credentials to the President of the Italian Republic on the 27th October 2021. Mr. Christofides is also credited with residence in Rome as ambassador of the Republic of Cyprus to Switzerland and San Marino, and as High Commissioner to Malta. Prior to his appointment as ambassador in Italy, he served as Director for Energy and Marine Policy in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Cyprus. In the period 2016 and from 2016 to 2018, he was head of the EU Department of the EU Directorate, during which he also served as Deputy Negotiator for the protocol regarding the British base in Cyprus. Yorgos Christofides has a legal background, having acquired a law degree from the University of Athens and further proceeding with a postgraduate diploma in European law from the University of Manchester and a Master of Arts in European Union law from King's College London. Before commencing his diplomacy career, he was accepted to the Cyprus bar and practiced law in Cyprus. He is married with 2 children and is fluent in Greek, English, and has a very good command of French. He is also currently studying Italian. Please kindly greet Ambassador.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for hosting me in this beautiful building. I want to thank Diplomazia and especially Mr. Bartolomucci for this opportunity. I will explain in a very short speech why this is an opportunity for states like Cyprus, countries like Cyprus, to have this opportunity to with a group of students in the prestigious global governance degree to present their country, to present their country's foreign policy and the particular issues that pertain to a country like Cyprus. I thank you all, first of all, that you are here today. I'll try to be very brief in my presentation because I really believe that if there is anything to take from here, it's going to be through the questions, not through my introduction, which I really will try to keep it short. And leave it up to you to choose maybe the chapters or the specifics of my presentation to elaborate, approfondire, I think is the word in Italian. I will just set the context. I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to present Cyprus to an audience like you. We don't have, as Cyprus, often the opportunity to present our country. In my 3 years here in Italy, I have found out that not much is known about Cyprus. I mean, maybe I have met people, of course, that they know even details about its history, about its culture, about the political situation on the island. And I have even met people, and it's natural, that they don't even know that it's an independent state. It's a Greek island in the Mediterranean. Which makes it challenging for a small embassy like us here in Rome, which cover Italy, which is the prime country of our accreditation. But as you heard before, the embassy covers also San Marino, okay, like all other embassies here in Rome. But Switzerland, we're actually the only country in the world that covers Switzerland from Rome. And then Malta. This is one of the major challenges of a small embassy like ours in Rome. The purpose, of course, is mainly to reinforce and help the bilateral relations with Italy and the rest of the countries of accreditation, and present Cyprus in the Italian public. Reading in my preparation that I really tried to prepare a bit before coming before you and outline our position on various issues. I saw that the concept note of Diplomazia for this year's festival is about kratos and the various phases of kratos. No, this is the main concept. And in reading that, and the parameters of what defines kratos and the power in general, I reconfirmed to myself, I should say, that Cyprus, the Cyprus problem, Cyprus on the map, I would put it like that, is the epitome, if you look at the history that I will explain briefly, is the epitome exactly of this, of the power who wins in international relations. Is the millennia, I would say, the millennia-old discussion one can have about the power or other parameters in safeguarding or securing a state. I don't need, I think, to talk to you that you have it more recent in your minds about Thukydides and the dialogue, the Millian dialogue, when the Athenians are talking to millions and they are telling them that they should surrender without fighting because they are stronger. I mean, that's the idea. This discussion comes from thousands of years before, and we still face it in this world we are living in, not only now, but for the last centuries, I would say. But things, fortunately, have changed a bit. It's not like it was in the past. So the idea is to put and connect Cyprus with this overall context, the concept note that was prepared and presented to us to talk. And I really believe that Cyprus is the Cyprus problem mainly is the epitome exactly of this discussion, the argomento, as you say here in Italy. I'll take it, we start from the beginning. It's even though you know where Cyprus is, I'm sure. Okay, let's put it in context. Cyprus is a very small island in comparison. Let's take Italy, for example, okay? So you understand better. We're talking about that Italy is the third biggest member state of the European Union. Let's put it in the European context. Cyprus is the third from the bottom. Cyprus is the third biggest island of the Mediterranean, smaller only other two Italian islands, Sicily and Sardinia. So number 3 plays a lot in this in this game. If I can tell you also about the square meters, that's even more interesting to understand the size and the context. It's Cyprus has 9,200 square meters only, and Italy 300. So it's 33 times bigger than Cyprus, Italy. So we're talking about different categories. It's different leagues. If we were one plays in a Champions League, let's say, Italy plays with the G7, who has the presidency, and Cyprus belongs, of course, to the Med9, to the Med5, members of the European Union. But this difference in size is really, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, but this is my firm belief now after 3 years here, that this does not represent the closeness, the affinity between the two peoples and the two overall governments, but especially lately. Especially this year, I would put it more recently. We had, for the first time, the first ever head of state of the Italian Republic, President Mattarella, visited Cyprus. Imagine that from the independence of Cyprus, 1960, no other Italian president, head of state, has ever visited Cyprus. And it was done last February. This came after a visit of my president here in Italy after 10 years, where he saw President Mattarella and Prime Minister Meloni. And just 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago, Prime Minister Meloni was in Cyprus to participate in the Med9 summit, the Med9 countries of the European Union. So there is a certain momentum, especially during the last years, of visits at the highest level. We're talking about even ministers. If I was not being recorded this presentation, I would say something about the visit we had from ministers in Cyprus, but a lot. And this is a showcase of the very close bilateral relations on many aspects. I would highlight especially culture, because we talked about square meters. The size does not really dictate the effect or the affinity with other countries. And Cyprus and Italy have been close for many, many years. In culture, the civilization. Recently, last year, there was an archaeological exhibition here in Italy that demonstrated, imagine that it's a new, actually, conclusion that the archaeologists came, they arrived to this conclusion, that imagine that for more than 3,000, maybe 4,000, there was never 1 century that trade or exchanges of at any level did not take place. Meaning that in all these 3,500 approximately years of history, counting from today, there was no century that discoveries, artifacts, ancient artifacts, have not been found in Italy or in Cyprus, from both sides. that shows exactly that this link, this affinity, is not a recent one. It's a very historical fact that connects the two peoples. This is the first, let's say, pillar of our of what I would like to say today. The one is the bilateral aspect, Cyprus and Italy mainly, without getting into details about trade between us and all that stuff, just to show you that despite the size, there is really a very close relationship at all levels, even in culture. The second, I would say, and I don't know if that is of interest to you, I would be really remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to explain, is the second pillar of my presentation would be, again, trying to connect the theme of this year's Festival of Diplomazia with the Cyprus problem. The Cyprus problem can be explained, I think, visually, if someone takes a look at the map, and we start from there. Where is Cyprus? I mean, if nobody in the Eastern Mediterranean, very close to Turkey, very close to Lebanon, Israel, Egypt, it's in that corner of the EU, the eastern part of the EU, that explains a lot also about the history of Cyprus, and explains also the present. But just for you to know that I don't think, maybe there is another country, I have not studied it, but that had so many occupiers in its very long history of thousands of years. We're talking about, if I can just say a few, Phoenicians, Egyptians, Romans, of course, Franks, Venetians, which you can still see in Cyprus, Roman ancient monuments and Venetian walls around Famagusta, which is in the occupied part, and in Nicosia, the Ottomans, of course, and the British. So there is a reason for that. It's exactly the position of Cyprus on the map. There is no other. And that explains also the current situation in part, because Cyprus was always important for the powerful empires of each era. And the latest, of course, was the British. Cyprus was a colony of the British, of Britain, and the independence of Cyprus came about in 1960. I don't know if you know this fact. It's Cyprus. We're talking about a new state. It's not while we have a long history of civilization in Cyprus of thousands of years, as a state, we were always under occupation. The first time that we were independent was exactly 1960 in modern times, when after a 5-year armed struggle for liberation from the British, we were actually, people in Cyprus, and we say it's not a secret, the constitution of Cyprus was given actually from the colonial power of Britain. I would not start immediately with where are the roots of the current Cyprus problem, but if one would go into the details about the constitution, which provided for an independent sovereign state, but based on two communities, the Greek Cypriot community, which at that time was 82% of the population, 82, and the Turkish Cypriot community was 18% of the population. But with certain provisions of the constitution, this was not reflected in a way that was considered by the Cypriots, the Greek Cypriots back then, as fair in terms of how the state would function, the veto powers of the Turkish Cypriot community in some aspects. Bottom line is that after the armed struggle of the Greek Cypriots to unite with Greece, because everybody, of course, wanted to unite with Greece as a Greek island, this was considered as an impediment to that ideal. Nevertheless, the constitution could really work. The solution could work that even if it was given by the Great Britain back then, if all of the Cypriots try to be more reasonable in their expectations, I would say, from the Constitution. But what happened next is just a reflection of the long history of Cyprus, meaning that the intercommunal fight that started, that led to a military coup d'etat by the Greek junta back then, military junta from Greece. And then immediately after that, the Turkish invasion and occupation of 37% of the territory until today by Turkey is only explained by the fact that Turkey has always had this kind of policy. Turkey, for many years, and if you listen to even today, Turkey cannot really accept the fact that an island in the soft belly, as they used to say, of Turkey, in the south of Turkey, could not have could be out of the control of this big country. And we will get back to this situation later. Maybe we can really connect the dots. We connect the power, how it is exercised by the big powers, what are the options that the small states have today. And I will be really happy to get into this discussion with you, providing more details. But the basic fact that it was the invasion and occupation in 1974 changed this reality in Cyprus. There is an occupation for 50 years. This year is the 50th anniversary of this invasion by Turkey, occupying 36% of the territory. And for the last 50 years, there is a continuous policy of altering the demographic balance of the island, altering even the culture of the island, with destroying monuments, mainly Christian, but not only that, that were in the north. They created 200,000 Greek Cypriots had to leave their houses and be refugees in their own country, and many other consequences that we can talk later. Another important, and I think also very relevant, another important date, I would put it like that, landmark date, is the 2004 accession of the Republic of Cyprus in the European Union. Again, this year is not only the 50 years, a commemoration of the 50 years of the invasion and occupation, we have the 20 years of our accession to the European Union. If the independence of Cyprus in 1960 was the first step, I would put it like that, this is my personal opinion, towards liberty, irrespective of what happened later. Even the feeling of liberation from the British Empire in 1960, I think 2004, in my opinion, signifies the true sense, especially for younger generations, of belonging, of a true independence, that it's a sense of belonging to the European Union together with the other member states, that provides for a small state. Imagine, it's not like, maybe it's very difficult for you to understand this concept here in Italy, a founding member of the European Union. But for the Cypriots was huge, let's put it like that. I speak a bit more casually to make it interesting, maybe. It was huge. I still remember that date. Having small Cyprus of less than 1 million people belonging to this club of the European Union, it was really provided a sense of security, first of all, because still there was, and there is until today, the military occupation by Turkey. So it was a reassurance that at least there is someone to, I would put it, have our back, as they say. if something goes wrong. It would certainly make it more difficult for any power to proceed with other fait accompli on the ground. And at the end of the day, provided the best ever opportunity, even now, for a just and viable solution of the Cyprus problem. And we'll get back again to what we mean when we talk about the power of a state like Turkey, of 80 million, even more, a military, the strongest military army in NATO, imagine that. And a small state that has to overturn the fait accompli created by war in 1974 through the only weapon it has in its disposal, international law, and after our accession to the European Union, acquis communautaire, the acquis communautaire that really can provide for all the security safeguards, let's say, for the Turkish Cypriot community to have a viable state based on the federation or a bizonal, communal federation, but with all the human rights of the Cypriots, of all Cypriots, Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots alike, protected by international law and human rights, of course, law and the acquis communautaire. I could go on and on about this link between the EU accession and the prospects it created for the solution of the Cyprus problem. Maybe during the question and answer section, we can go in depth and in detail on that, but I will give you just an idea. Before our accession to the European Union, nobody really dared, I would say, even on our side, to say that any solution of the Cyprus problem would have to get rid of one basic parameter that is written in our constitution that was given by the British. The guarantor rights, the rights of the guarantor powers to intervene in Cyprus in order, that's the constitution, what it says, but Turkey has abused it, in order to re-establish the constitutional order. In 1974, Turkey used exactly this supposedly right it had, which is not at all exactly true. This right does not speak about military intervention, so they misinterpreted internationally, and they used this right of guarantee to intervene, supposedly to restore the constitutional order, but then they stayed for 50 years, as we talk about. So before the Cyprus accession to the European Union, not even us dare to speak openly about this, how should I put it, this crazy, let's speak a bit more casually, this is a crazy thing to discuss in 2024, to have a state, member of the European Union, 20 years member of the European Union now, and having Turkey to say that, no, I have to guarantee a state, as if we are, I don't know, shouldn't say it wouldn't be politically correct, but to tell you the truth, this gave us not the audacity, but the strength, the courage to demand the rights that every other state, small or big, should have. Meaning that we should not be guaranteed, as if we are crazy or something, by the country that occupied Cyprus for 50 years. I want to close even this chapter, let's say, of the Cyprus problem by connecting directly now to the concept kratos and what it means. Kratos is the power. It was a titan in ancient ancient era, let's say, according to the myth, of course, who was exercising the power of Zeus, Deus. Without any other power to stop it. And it is unfortunate, even though it is not identical, that we have this kind of development solutions in international relations, still based on the strength, on the power of the parties. And of course, one can speak about the territory, the size of the territory, the size of the population, the military, let's say, and many other aspects, parameters of what defines a state as strong or not. Fortunately, I was saying, things have changed, but maybe not so much. And in Cyprus, we are obliged not to listen to the verdict of even Thukydides about the power and who has the power dictates everything, taking advantage of what the humanity has done over these millennia after Thukydides, and especially after the Second World War, with the United Nations, international law, in our case now, European law that can be useful in our search for a solution. So we, as Cyprus, imagine we are less than 1 million, as I said, around 1 million. We have to deal, as I said before, with a country, let's put it like that, of 80 million, irrespective of who is in charge. Turkey had always had this policy towards Cyprus. I would put it like that, even if it's not very nice to be said, but we have a military in Cyprus, the size of which is more based on the reserves, which is only defensive. You know? And we have to face 40,000 Turkish troops in the north. 40,000 Turkish troops in the north, in a small territory, a piece of territory of an island, which is, as I said before, you can imagine, it makes it the most militarized territory in the world per square meter. And they are there, and the only weapon, I would put it like that, not only to defend ourselves, but also to try to reverse the fait accompli created by the invasion, is it through international law and European law. This is, of course, we know very well how difficult it is, especially when you have currently under the, of course, President Erdogan's guidance, also the leader of the Turkish Cypriot community, that they both insist on canceling completely the Security Council resolutions that provide that the solution should be based in federation, bizonal, bicommunal federation, and they want a two-state solution. Thankfully, this creates a very big, for the international community, entirely cannot be accepted. This also explains, and if I would like to go to the third pillar of my presentation, and I stop, explains also the position of Cyprus that takes towards the other international crises that the world faces today. Let's take Ukraine, for example. We have supported Ukraine's defense for the very simple reason that we are talking about an invasion and occupation of an independent country. Many people back then, when the war broke, they were raising questions on what Cyprus would do with the European Union and other countries, okay? Based on the traditional ties we had with Russia, which is not traditionally culturally. I would like to put things here on a straight record. We're talking about Russia that is still a permanent member of the Security Council. Cyprus cannot have the luxury, does not have the luxury of, choosing the members that can dictate if the United Nations peacekeeping operation in Cyprus will be renewed for the next 6 months and leave because of, let's say, Russia vetoing. That's a crazy scenario, but still gives you the sense of the power that some countries have when they are in the Security Council of the United Nations. And despite that, how could Cyprus not be, as we say, the correct side of history? An independent state that was invaded and still occupied by Turkey. Of course, we aligned fully. It's others. Sometimes we have we are a bit bitter on that thing that, every now and then in the press, you might see articles about countries that, they were reluctant to align with this sanction or that sanction. Nothing of the sort happened. But nobody talks about NATO members like Turkey that not only do not apply sanctions on Russia for what it has done, but on the contrary, they align on many occasions with regular meetings and positions in various fora that raise questions. I would come back to, apart from the Cyprus problem, what is Cyprus now, doing in the world? The small size of Cyprus can be, in some cases, a fortune. It's a misfortune, of course, when you have to deal with the security issues like the invasion of Turkey. But on the other hand, we are considered, even in the area, now that we can see what's happening in Gaza, as an honest broker. We have helped a lot with the humanitarian corridor that we created from Cyprus to Gaza, the only maritime corridor that we created, together with partners, of course, to provide humanitarian assistance to Gaza. At the same time, we have excellent relations with everybody, with Israel included, on many fronts. We have managed for decades, really, even before we joined the European Union, to have these excellent relations with all our neighbors. It was mentioned before about my previous capacity in Cyprus about energy. Let's put it like this. In times that you have even, not wars, but even military incidents created about the exclusive economic zones of countries, Cyprus, well before its membership in the European Union, we had so good relations that we are the only country in the Mediterranean. We had 3 exclusive economic zone agreements with Egypt, Israel, and Lebanon. Lebanon did not ratify because it has a problem with Israel, not with us. So it gives you a very good idea of how much Cyprus is appreciated in playing a very constructive role. We, needless to say, that we were one of the first countries of the European Union to recognize Palestine. I say this for those that they don't see where we stand really on issues of international law, and I can assure you that we are always in support of international law. And let me tell you something very, I will be very blunt. We cannot do otherwise. We cannot do otherwise. It's an option, but a country that is bases its sole argumentation, I would say even its own existence, because the Cyprus problem for us, it's not a matter of a territory, just a strip of the territory that was taken. No, it's existential. Turkey does not only occupy Cyprus, but does not recognize the Republic of Cyprus. I remember they don't recognize the existence of the state. So with that closing, I think I made the connection. If not, I'm waiting for your questions and talk about it further with this idea of what is the power, how a country, especially a small country that really needs security and continuation, I would say, of its existence, really needs even today to rely on international law, and I would put it like this now about the European Union, and also on its partners, because the strength, I would put it like that, as it was said many, many years ago, thousands of years, by Aesopus, I don't know, the fairy tale teller Aesopus in ancient Greece, that said that the unity is the real power, unity of various countries or partners. So with that, I leave you, and I'm really open to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. I'm Diego Del Valle from Global Governance. I want to ask maybe a detail, but Al Jazeera uncovered recently, like, as you know, Cyprus has many military bases of, for example, RAF in his country. And from one of these military bases, Akrotiri military base, some RAF planes were scouting Gaza to provide a target direction to Israeli forces. The culp is not of Cyprus, obviously, that has foreign military bases in his country, but that could be discussed because they were your colonizers and they still the military presence in your country, but also because the Republic of Cyprus repressed the manifestations of the police of Cyprus, repressed the manifestations outside these military bases. So it's a part of complicity, but so a little bit of storytelling about this Al Jazeera investigation.
Thank you. As you very well said about the British bases, there are two military bases, British military bases in Cyprus, and of course, we don't have control. A small detail that I would, just for you to understand how these two military bases were created, okay? In 1960, imagine the constitution I talked about before that was given by Britain provided in this article, in the first articles of the constitution, if you can imagine, that the island, the Republic of Cyprus is, imagine this definition, territorially, I mean, that's how they described it, is the island of Cyprus minus the two British sovereign areas. This is how they are called, sovereign base areas, SBAs. So imagine how much, and this explains again, as you very well put it, that about the proximity of Cyprus to the current conflict in Gaza. This is why the UK has never, with these two military bases, has secured its presence in the area. I would say that I cannot confirm, and I don't think it has been officially confirmed what you just described, a part of this investigation. There is a lot of, yes, you know, it's not for the government of Cyprus to deny or to, it's the UK government that they have to respond. But on many occasions in the past, I would take it with a bit of salt on this case, because there have been many videos in the past of providing, you know, a takeoff of military aeroplanes. Where do they go? And we have not talked about the concept paper exactly, about a very interesting concept. I came here, I talked to you about Thukydides and the power and the state, the many phases of the state and of the power. And very rightly so, in this concept paper of yours, it shows exactly the power of other private actors. And nobody can deny that even private, the big tech companies that own social media now, and they can provide even with fake news. I say this not, and I underline, not about this issue that you raised. I speak more generally about the power and the direction some people want us to take on many facts that we have seen on our screens, but then presented later with the real truth or changed. So on that, you are absolutely right. But again, on the suppression of any demonstration by the Republic, I don't want to avoid, I don't really know the facts of this case. But as I try to explain, really, both on the basis of the humanitarian corridor that we opened, both on the basis of a very long-standing position of the Republic of Cyprus towards the Palestine, the recognition of Palestine as a state by Cyprus, very few member states of the European Union have done it. Our constant support at the United Nations level, which is based, as I told you, on matters of principle. Our position on the two-state solution, which we have tried to promote on every opportunity for Gaza, for Palestine. So I would take this with a bit of salt, especially on the issue of the demonstration. I really don't know but
Hello, I'm Alp. I'm from GG. And I would like to ask, according to your claims, Turkey is an invader country that had no reasons to secure their Turkish Cypriots' life security, and Greeks are totally innocent. According to the fourth article of the Congress of the Republic of Cyprus, Britain, Greece, or Turkey is free to take an action with the sole aim to re-establish the state of affairs created by the present treaty. I would like to also mention the civilian massacres that occurred in villages called Murata, Sandallar, and Atlılar, and Greek behavior that has been active until the Turkish peace action since 1960s, which was aggressive, suppressive, and racist against Turkish Cypriots. How would you explain these acts made by Drumes in Cyprus? Thank you.
Yeah. I thought I said it before about the, if you can read the whole sentence about the guarantor rights by Turkey, when I explained, it says explicitly that these guarantor countries, Greece, Turkey, and the UK, can intervene to restore the constitutional order. It took them 50 years to restore it, and they are still there. Not only that, but they really have done something to the contrary. They have changed the demographic balance of the island. They have imported, I would use this word, people from Anatolia, Turkey, which do not have any connection, even in terms of culture, with the Turkish Cypriots. There were intercommunal fights, yes, between Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots, I said it before, which hindered really the smooth governance of an island that was a new democracy in 1960. And there was this balance of 82 with 18% of the population. But you mentioned that Turkey came for the poor Turkish Cypriots. If you go and read an ex-foreign minister of Turkey, who is considered Cima, as you say here in Italian, of history and politics, Davutoglu, who wrote a very nice book, very nice for the Turkish position that I'm sure you will be interested in. He said that even if one Turkish Cypriot was not in Cyprus, we should have invented him. So meaning that this is how Cyprus is important for us, how much Cyprus is important for us. So I really take it, I cannot really come into terms with this excuse of the poor Turkish Cypriots that were under oppression by the Greek Cypriots, and they now brought 40,000 Turkish troops and hundreds of thousands of settlers that changed the north of the occupied part of Cyprus, changing the demography of the island, changing the culture. They have ruined all these people. If you see on, I don't know if you have ever seen pictures of churches, Christian churches that were, they have horses inside. So there is no, in my mind, there is no logic in saying this about the Turkish Cypriots who, in the past, and many of them really, in the past have expressed themselves that they want to reunite and have all the rights of the Republic of Cyprus, which they do even if they are under Turkish occupation. Because that's the magic, I would say, of the European Union law I referred to before. Cyprus has been admitted to the European Union as a whole, the Republic of Cyprus, a part of the British bases we talked before. Imagine that. And all the Turkish Cypriots that are Turkish Cypriots and are recognized as citizens of the Republic of Cyprus, they have all the rights of the European citizen. They can travel abroad, everything. Whatever they have, even though they are under the so-called protection of Turkey, the occupying power, in essence. And let me ask you something. I mean, I don't want to really say something, because they really need, even the Turkish Cypriots would be happier. And if, for any reason, the international community went crazy and accepted the two-state solution that Turkey, Erdogan, and Tatar want, the Turkish Cypriots would lose their rights as European citizens, because in the European Union, there can be no two European states. And the Turkish Cypriots are now minority in the north, minority from the settlers. Imagine that if this is true, the 40,000 Turkish troops that in Cyprus they came to protect the poor Turkish Cypriots, they are protecting 100,000 Turkish Cypriots that they are left. That's all we have there. 40,000 Turkish troops to protect 100 Turkish Cypriots. This is not a military. This is the group 4, security, private security. It's one Turkish soldier for 2.2 Turkish Cypriots. So I really would take it a bit more, we go into details about what's happening really. We have now a chance in Cyprus. Now that we have another round of looming, let's put it that another round of negotiations is looming after last week's dinner with the Secretary General between the President of Cyprus and the leader of the Turkish Cypriot community. That might create really a way forward. We came very close in Crans-Montana in 2017. And the things that went wrong, it was exactly what I said before about the rights of guarantee, the stationing, military, why, I don't know, why should we be different? I don't know, I guess you come from Turkey or you have origins in the, I guess. But why? I put this very simple question to all of you. Why Cyprus should be different from any other state? Not only member state, member state of the European Union, even worse, to have guarantors. What does it right here on our, and this logic that Turkey has to really protect Cyprus. No, Turkey has to really guarantee that no, let's say, coordinated attack against Turkey would come from its circle, its periphery, okay? This is an argument that was used in the past, even from Davutoglu that I told you about, that we cannot allow on the west of Turkey, Greece and the Greek islands, and in the south of Turkey to have Cyprus in the soft underbelly of Turkey, as they used to call it. We are talking about a country of 80 million. 80 million, with the second, I think, strongest army of NATO. Are you really, not you, but Turkey? It's a joke to say that we are threatened. We might be threatened by Cyprus. Turkey might be threatened. It's a joke, really. It's nobody can live with it. But my argument would be really, really very simple. Cyprus does not want any right that any other member state of the European Union does not have. But it doesn't want, and we will not accept, elements of, I don't know, ancient times. This issue with the guarantees and stuff, it was issues of centuries ago, centuries. Okay, that's my...
Hello, my name is Nehir. I'm from Turkey. However, I'm not asking this question in a place out of aggression. I'm the third generation in my family who was born in Istanbul, and originally we've immigrated from Greece. So my question is about a referendum took place regarding the unification of the southern and the northern parts of the island. According to the plan suggested by the United Nations, the Greeks in the island were going to have a more right to say in the governance, and only 1/3 of the ministries was going to be combined by the Turks. And for the presidency, Greeks and Turks were going to take turns every 10 months, thus creating a unified Republic of Cyprus. This referendum has been rejected by the southern part by 70% and accepted by almost 60% in the northern part of the island. From this picture, with all due respect, it doesn't seem like the Greeks really want Turks in the island to participate in the governance. And my question is, do you see a possibility of unification? And if you do so, how do you see that it's going to be structured? Thank you.
No, you are absolutely right that from this picture you read, doesn't seem like we want unification. But let me assure you that the reason for which the Greek Cypriots and all the polls we did about the referendum show that very, very clearly. No Greek Cypriot voted no in that referendum because of the participation of the Turkish Cypriots in the ministries. My grandmother, she was alive, but my grandfather, all my relatives that voted no, they didn't do it because they care about less ministers of Greek Cypriots, that we would lose chairs, let's say, in the government. No, it's totally false. I know this is really something that very, very skillfully, I would say, the Turkish propaganda has managed to pass to the world. After all, in my opinion, if I can tell you a couple of things now about the Annan plan, you would be amazed. It's even in terms of today, what we discuss now, is shocking for anybody who is objective, okay? I don't want to take much of your time, but just one example, okay? So, number one, I said it before, number one reason for the Greek Cypriots to vote no was exactly the continuation of the guarantor rights of Turkey. Imagine the Greek Cypriots were called to go and vote, and they would see that not only we change now the governance, and we might have problems, Turkey might even intervene at any point they want, using that exactly sentence which was in the Annan plan. Second, military, Turkish military, still on the island, even after the solution, reduced number, but a reduced number after many, many years, not day one, not day one. And when are the problems occur, in your opinion? At the beginning. But if at the beginning you still have 40,000, and on the other hand, you have 2,000, 3,000, or even 10,000 of army that defends, this is not exactly a fair play, no? So the idea of having, a reduction after 20 years to 1,000, if someone would live until the 20 years, yes, it would be something that one could consider. But the guarantor rights, I come back to, for me, being a diplomat, this is a bit more too sophisticated for the average Greek Cypriot, but maybe you, that here in the university, okay, you might really understand it a bit more. And at least take out of your mind that the Greek Cypriots voted no for this government sharing, as the Turkish Cypriots call it. The Greek Cypriots voted no because many of them would not return to their homes. Do you know that the referendum of 2004 was held 10 days or 2 weeks, I think, before our formal accession to the European Union? 2 weeks only. And it provided for certain quotas of Greek Cypriot refugees that they left their houses in the north when Turkey invaded. There was prescribed, actually, quotas in small villages. Even in the cases that someone like me, that I was born in the north, in an occupied village, small village very close to Nicosia, it said that in the first year, 3 Greek Cypriots would go back. there was a quota in the total of inhabitants in the villages. Can you believe it? Not on newcomers, not me go to buy in Kerinya, in the beach, a house and they would count me as extra. They would count me even as a refugee, that if we reach the limit of who can return back, if it exceeded 30% of a village, that was the majority of which was a Greek Cypriot. We were Greek Cypriots in the village. So it created this kind of phenomena, meaning people that they would go, with a solution, going back to gain their property that they lost back then, it didn't give them their incentives to go back in a village like that. It was all in quota and even permanently. Can you believe this? That in the European Union member state, you are Italian citizen, I guess, now. Now you are studying here. Okay, any other Italian citizen can, and me, most of all me, I can buy freely property here in Italy, in Germany, anywhere. And I would have limitations to buy, but not only buy, to return to my own house in my own country. How does that look? Crazy or not? In 2 weeks' time, people would get the full rights of European Union citizenship. You have 300 million Europeans, 300 more of 300, that they can go and buy property, move, work, stay, even stay in any other country and commute, but you cannot do it in your own country. So that's the points that the Greek Cypriots saw. And they said, no, not good enough, not secure enough. I could speak about the other diplomatic stuff that Mr. Davutoglu, with this idea of Cyprus being in the orbit, should stay in the orbit of the great Ottoman Empire again, that they want to. This is the logic they have. That's a problem. It's not directed to the rights, human rights of people. It's these crazy policies of having Cyprus is too small to be a nail in the underbelly of. This is true. I understand that the image of, we voted no, but nobody really. But exactly, I really try to explain it because in my personal opinion, I really believe that through the membership of the European Union, we can achieve a lot. If all citizens of the United Cyprus Republic, without treaty of guarantee, without guarantees from third parties, we are not saying this for Turkey, we are saying this for Greece, and especially for the UK. No, all the Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots can have these rights, the human rights that all the other European citizens have. I think the government sharing can very well be solved. This is the problem in Cyprus, always has been, is the interference from Turkey, from other bigger powers. Unfortunately, things do not look very good because until 2017, we were discussing on the basis of the Security Council resolutions, by zonal, by communal federation. After that, and because of what happened, as I explained, the problem is that the Turkish leadership in Ankara and in Cyprus, they want a two-state solution, which cannot be done, but it brings us in a stalemate. After 5 years, we have managed now to have a new, maybe, exploration of the prospects with a dinner that took place, and the meeting will follow between the two leaders and the three guarantor powers again. But at least in this case, before, we all know that everything is controlled by Turkey. So it's good to have in these negotiations also Turkey, because the real problems, the sticking points for not solving the Cyprus problem is up to Turkey, not up to the Turkish Cypriot leader.
Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you also on the behalf of the Festival of the Diplomacy. Have a nice lunch and see you in the afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, yes. 1 hour.